to continue with this now.
Yep. Hopefully the first part shows back up. It just paused and disappeared, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yes, the pentacle is a one concept of protection or shield. So this is the when you start out making an altar, one of the first considerations is going to be where that pentacle is going to be, what that pentacle is going to look like. That is going to be your protection. So the second point of the pentacle is that it is the area to which a lot of items get turned into magical devices. So if you have a charm, a ring, or something that you need to enchant, the first thing that you would want to do is place it on the pentacle and give it a clearing spot to which you begin your practice. A lot of the other items that you make, so you start out with your athame or your wand. A lot of your other items that you're going to be consecrating, like when you do the ending of a lot of Sabbath rituals, there's usually a conjoining of the athame and the chalice to making the great work, which is a concept of copulation between the deities. That would be, I'm trying to use higher words. I don't want to say those things. You would use the pentacle as the body of the goddess, and the womb is the chalice, and the representational athame, therefore, is plunged into the chalice to create the next reality or the next level of experience. But mainly, a lot of people, what they like to do is they like to enchant items to use later. Have a spell that you work on. Put your ring, put your necklace on the pentacle. Do the spell work, and then not actually open up the spell to be used until you program a word into the item. Then you can take the item with you wherever you go. You have your spell word, you have your last and final component to the spell to be released, in which now you have a magical item you can carry around with you. So if you want to have something like a little bit extra protection against somebody's negative influences out there, you can create a spell towards that, program it into a charm, and then have it for later. Candles. Usually there are 4 candles, up to 8 candles, up on some altars. Candles usually represent the god and the goddess. You're also representing positive and negative forces, so you usually have a black or a white candle. Also, you could have a candle for every point of the element, and they can either be on the altar or they can be out actually on the edge of your circle to represent the 4 points of the elements, which the entire circle then becomes a microcosm of the magical universe of your understanding. So now we're going to be up to questions. I kind of ripped through a couple of those items a little bit quickly, but if you have any questions.
What's in your experience harness the most energy or output the most energy?
Fruit woods. That's basically the thing that you only have to really remember. What type of woods are going to be the most potent for making wands and making staves and rods? Fruit woods. And that will also include any tree that bears nuts. So walnut, apple, mulberry, things like those. Those are, oak actually gives you acorns. So oak is a good one. You can look up online, there's also something called 9 sacred druid woods. I don't remember all of them. Ash, birch, willow, oak, poplar, vine, which is very difficult to make into a staff. Don't ask me to do it ever.
Apple.
Huh?
Apple.
Is apple in there? Okay. But yeah, it gives you a lot of different sources. Now, on the off side of the non-fruit bearing woods, there are others like willow, cedar. Those are really good for there's also there's elder. Elder and willow are part of the Night Sacred Druid woods as well. And so, like I said, some of these are non-fruit bearing woods, but they also used them because there were like other esoteric properties, knowledge-based properties, like how long the wood would actually burn was considered magical, because if you had a population that understood that wood burned, wood helped you survive through the winter, the longer the wood burned, the more magical it was, because it helped you live that much longer. So, then bore in a lot of the harder woods, being sycamore was another one that was a really good use for magical woods.
I have a follow-up question.
Follow up with
Are
another
there
question.
any certain rituals you have to do before taking the wood from a plant?
I would actually wait for fellwood after a storm. That's freely offered up. Now, around in this climate, that's a little bit more difficult, because by the time it reaches the ground, it's already rotted. It's a very humid climate here. There's also a lot of bugs in this climate, so it's difficult to get softer woods as fell wood, because it's they're half gone by the time they reach the ground. So.
Well, those storms, I guess, do help that in this climate, though. A lot of times the high
storms
winds will still rip off decent wood that's not rotted.
So, after a major storm around here,
Like the one that
Scavenger.
went down the drain.
yeah, the ones that really knock things down hard, that's a good time to go, because those were, in offering. They're
Should've
freely
took one
offered.
from that tree that landed next to my car.
I often go and get my sycamore about that point in time. Coincidentally, if you can find one freely offered up in a graveyard, being kind and not walking over other people's graves, being kind and respectful to groundskeepers, and any groundskeeper gives you permission. Any wood offered up in a graveyard is actually significant in witch terms, not Wicca or magic. Magic is very, they go by specific types of rules. High magic does. Wicca goes by a whole other set of rules, and witchcraft goes by a whole other set of rules. So, this depends upon which rules are you're under and you're using at the time. Okay. Anything else?
What about materials for the chalice?
Materials for the chalice is widely ranged. There is no real reason why you can't have one made of clay, ceramics. You have one made of glass, silver, metals. Seen them carved out of wood, wood turned. A lot of them that I see are either going to be glass or ceramic. High magic uses more silver and gold.
What about horn?
Horn, yes, on the more of like the Asatru style. Yeah, horn is like a. I actually went up north to Minnesota, Viking territory, and got a horn goblet as well as a glass horn goblet. Both of those styles, because I thought those worked really cool. So yeah, that style works really well. Anything else?
Yeah. You mentioned the wand helps us to direct energy, right?
Yes.
So would that be a requirement, or just something that helps us realize the energy within us? Like, is it something that you need to direct energy, or is it just something that helps us realize that potential?
Tools in general as symbolic purpose, think about it this way. You open up a Chilton motor book to fix a Chevy pickup. They're going to tell you to turn the bolt with your fingers.
No, but yeah.
A tool is a tool. That's exactly what it's meant for. It's not a must-have, but it's a really should have. There are people out there that will say, I don't need any tools to cast magic. I can cast magic whenever I need to. Chi is a battery. You can drain yourself really easy. The interplay inside of you, the masculine and feminine energies that you're using to create the energy that you're projecting is better facilitated if you have the proper tools. You can do it by yourself, but it's draining. It's not, it takes a long time to recharge off of something like that.
I use different colored, aka frequencies of crystals to do certain types of psychic surgery for the energy to go through, and it attunes that frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So, enhancement.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really like your
Spiral?
wands that,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, the spiral configuration.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of my wands do have spirals on them for that purpose, either just carved in there or with the copper winding.
Just one last question.
Oh, hey, you can plug away.
Can certain flowers enhance magical properties in tools?
Yes, you can, if carefully applied, because if you're going to have that herb, I won't just call it flower, but an herb as well.
Yeah.
You want to be able to dry that herb properly. If you want to hollow out your handle to your wand, you can place it inside like that. That's a really good application to do something like that. Also, just rubbing the oil from said herb onto the wand has the same application process. So, if you the wood itself is a type of an herbal componentry, but an herb plant itself will help either accentuate that or change the energy around to something a little bit more useful to you as well, or point it in a different direction. Anything else? Is there any questions online? Okay. All right. I think we're probably going to quit it a little bit early. You guys are welcome to come up here. One thing is that if a witch or a magician offers you to hold their magical tool, then it's acceptable to touch said tool or said. If it is a magical item, magical items themselves are not sacred and non-touchable. Now, if a magician or a witch or a Wiccan does not offer to have you hold their tool or allow you, if you don't ask properly, then, and you just pick it up, you may as well just slap them in the face. So, if you want to look smart whenever you're around that kind of situation and a person has their own tools and they say, yeah, you can look at it. The first thing you don't do is, oh, cool! That's a little personal. So I would, when you walk up and they say, oh yeah, those are my magical tools, you can go up and, do you mind? Is it okay if I touch? They'll either, give it a command to, go flat or not have any energy in it so you can hold it. Or if they trust you enough, this is a sign of trust. If they trust you enough, they go, oh sure, yeah, you can touch it anytime you want. And then that's like a person saying, hey, you're my friend. So be respectful of their tools. And likewise, that's a good judge of character for other people if you start collecting your tools. So we'll finish this out, and you can come up and take a look. And if there's any further questions past that, we've got a couple minutes before we have to go here. Oh, I gotta take the holy lighter away.
Oh, yeah.